Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to be talking about how to support new teachers or new teachers online. Okay, there was a huge shift recently, especially if you're in Michigan, where we are all online through the end of the school year. And we have been teaching online for quite a while as a collective. You'll see we're all here. Hi. As a collective, we've all been teaching online for a while, and we wanted to just kind of share with you guys some tips and tricks that we have discovered in our experience to make virtual education work. So I'm Erin Terpstra. That's me. Steph?
I'm Jennifer Gould, and I teach social studies here at Uplift.
I'm Stephanie Simmons. I teach PE and health.
I'm Erin Peelan, and I am a special education teacher.
I'm Victor Sanchez. I'm a Spanish teacher.
I'm Lindsay Wesley, and I'm the math teacher and assistant principal, and I'm not on this slide, but I'm here.
Yay, Miss Wesley. So first, some encouragement. We want you guys to know that this is daunting and it is scary, and it's okay to kind of be in that space for a while and to be a little scared and overwhelmed. But we also want you to know that virtual education can be very fruitful. It can be fulfilling for both you as a teacher and for your students. And so we want you to really focus on the relationship that you have with kids. You have already had your students, depending on what grade level you're in, you may have had them for almost an entire year already. Some of you, if you're on semesters, maybe you've only had them for a month and a half, but you've built those relationships with students, and those can still continue and not just stay as they are, but continue to grow. Even though you're not seeing them face to face, those relationships will continue to grow as you continue in virtual education. So focus on those relationships that you have with kids, and the rest of this stuff you'll learn it, and it will support that relationship that you have with kids. First thing, and this is the most important, and everyone's nodding their head, yep, this is the most important. As a virtual educator, it is very, very easy to lose yourself in your job. As we're all teachers, we know it's very easy to do anyway. But when you work from your home, your personal life and your work life just kind of meld together. And it starts to be where you're answering parent and student emails at 11 p.m. and answering phone calls at all times. And it gets to the point where it actually starts to hurt your relationship with your career and your students. We all want to be available to our students. We all want to support them, but it's incredibly important to find that balance between your work life and your personal life. And now that you're home, it's harder to do. So some things that we recommend, if you haven't already, make sure this is okay with your district, but find a Google Voice number. So they are free to use. You can use just your personal email address and you sign up for Google Voice. And what it does is it gives you a unique phone number that you can then forward to your cell phone, or I don't know if anyone has landlines anymore, but to your landline if you wanted to, but you can forward it, and then your personal number isn't given out to your students. One thing that I really like about Google Voice as well is you can set kind of time parameters so that the phone will ring through to your cell phone between this hour and this hour. Anytime outside of those, it will go to a voicemail system. And the really cool thing is those voicemails are saved. Any phone calls you're making to or from students, you have documentation of those. You can text through Google Voice, which is a great way to connect with students, but we highly recommend that. It's just kind of the first step in separating your personal life and your work life. Set hours for yourself and stick to them. This is still something, I will say, I've been teaching online for close to a decade, and I still struggle with this sometimes, but I do my best to work between 7:30, and 4:30 or 5. Any times outside of that, I do everything I can to reserve that for my family or for myself. Try and do that. It's going to be hard, especially as you're learning how to put everything online, but try your best to do that. And your families and your students will understand because they care about you as well and your mental health. And then our next one is setting realistic expectations for yourself and your students and your students' parents. And I'm sure you're all doing this already, but keeping in mind, this is hard to do and hard to learn. So give yourself that grace and flexibility to learn and extend that to your students and to your students' parents who may be working full-time from home or outside of the home and trying to support their kid in learning in a brand new environment. So extending that grace, allowing yourself to be flexible, allowing your kids to kind of navigate and learn all of this along the way. So those are just our first 3 on separating your personal life with your work.
Right. Now this is the other Erin Peelan, and I'm going to take over for a few minutes and talk about some more with communication and just making that connection with your students every week. As Erin, the other Erin already said, you have to be realistic. Working from home is hard. Having your kids at home, trying to teach them, all of this, is just, it's hard. And so you need to be really realistic with yourself, with what, your district and things are wanting you to do, as well as being realistic of what's going on in your students' homes as well. So what we like to do is focus on a small number of students each day. So take your class, divide it, see if you can do like 5 kids each day to really focus in on and making sure that you're making contact with those 5 kids. So you have 5 on Monday, 5 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday throughout the week. Prioritize those students who need the most help. I'm a special education teacher, so my students, a lot of them do need a lot of help, a lot more support than some of the other ones. But there's other kids, who need a lot of support, and those. You know your kids, you know your students. You've been with them all year, and you can say, okay, this one needs a lot of help in the reading, so I'm going to prioritize that on this day, and so forth. Aim for 1 contact per student each week. So you want to make sure not only that you are helping them with their academics, but are they okay? Right now, there's so much going on. You want to make sure that they're safe, that they're healthy, that they're getting food. A lot of your districts, our districts everywhere are providing that food, getting them the resources that they need to make sure that they keep themselves safe and healthy. So how we do this is kind of use 3 different contact methods. So emails, texts, and calls. So again, if you have that Google Voice number, it's awesome to use. It's wonderful. So at the beginning of the week, Monday morning, set up an email. And you can actually, a lot of the websites, like we use Gmail, you can make them on the weekend to schedule them to send on Monday morning, ready to go. So email them. If they don't respond to email, then try texting them. If they don't text you back, then call them. So make sure that if you don't hear from them, you move down the list, emails, calls, and texts to make that connection with them once per week, if not more. One good thing I like to do, and we like to do here at Uplift, is send out a Google form that collects their information. A lot of families might be in different living situations right now with the essential workers. Some of the kids might be at grandma and grandpa's house or aunt and uncle's. So making sure that you have up-to-date contact information, because it may have changed from when, a couple weeks ago when you were in school. So send out a Google form. It's quick and easy to fill out. Have their student's name, parent's name, emails, the best phone number to contact them, any kind of information that you think is helpful for you at this time. Documenting communication attempts and attendance to sessions. So a lot of what we do, we need to have documentation that we're doing it. And it's harder when you're at home because, you're not collecting in the paperwork, you're not seeing them in person. So how do you document this? There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. One of the ways is a Google form. Again, creating it really quick and easy to have your students listed, have the contact type, whether you contacted them by phone, text, email, or other. Did you have to leave a voicemail? And then who you spoke to, your caregiver, the student, the voicemail, or if somebody else answered the phone, and any notes. And if you just fill that out every time you talk to somebody, it'll go right to a spreadsheet for you, or you can just create a spreadsheet and just make sure that you have that documented of who you called, when you called. So that way, if you're like, did I call this student? Did I talk to them this week? You can just pull this up and check it and check them off your list and move on. All right, Jen.
Sorry, I didn't unmute myself. So I'm going to take over for a second and talk about some great communication tools that really will make your life easier. TextBlaze is honestly my favorite. Mrs. Wesley showed us this a couple years ago, and I love it now. It's a free Google Chrome extension. If you go to google.com and you type in like Google Chrome extensions, and you go to that website and type in TextBlaze, you'll find it there. And it really enables you to create these long messages that you might be sending to students over and over and over again. And you create a keystroke for it. So this is an example of something I might send out to all my students who are under a 40%. And you can see that my keystroke here is just -F. And then if I go to, let's say I was using Google Voice, I could go to that on my computer and open up like a text message and then just hit -F, and then that would populate and I could send it as a text. I could do this in Gmail. You have to make sure you're using Google Chrome as your browser, but you can do this in many different ways. You can do it in Gmail, Google Voice, and things like that, and it makes your life so much easier when you want to communicate the same message to many students, and you'll find out that you're sending the same things over and over and over again. So this is my favorite. Erin, do you want to hit on this one? Mail merge?
Yeah, so yet another mail merge is an extension that I use in Google Spreadsheets. So in Google Drive and Spreadsheets, you can add extensions. And yet another mail merge is an excellent way to send, I use it for progress reports and for, hey, this is what we're doing this week, but it personalizes all of that information. So you'll see right here, you can use a email template. And if you see the little, they're not parentheses, I don't know what they're called, squigglies. The squigglies, that is, it will pull information from that column of a spreadsheet. So I have a spreadsheet with all of my student names, and it would pull their first name, and then it would pull their week's lessons, and then it would pull the assignments that are due that week. And it's a really easy way to have all of the information in a spreadsheet and send personalized emails. It is awesome. And anytime you can personalize an email, I will tell you, students pay attention when they see their name. If it says, hi, everybody, or hello, English class, they're a lot less likely to pay attention. So I love this to send personal emails.
And I just want to jump in and add about TextBlaze. If you go back a slide, Erin, the TextBlaze tool that is free is like basic, like this one, where you can just type in, you know, a paragraph and populate that paragraph. If you pay for it, which I think it's $20 for the year and so worth it, you can actually type out your email and put in fields so that when you populate the email, you can fill in like the kid's name and whatever details. You can even make drop-down menus. So if you have like 5 different things you want to choose from, and it depending on what you're trying to say. So I have one that, you know, welcomes the kid to a new class if they're a brand new student, and I can put their name and the class, but it has all my standard information in it. So it just saves tons of time and energy. And if anybody is interested in learning more about TextBlaze, I actually have like a 10-minute tutorial on how to set it up and use it, and I can send that to you if you're interested. But the personalized thing that Erin was talking about is really key. If kids see their name, they're a lot more likely to think that, you know, it actually is for them and not for everyone.
All right, I want to talk real quick about NatureCloud. I love NatureCloud, especially with being a special education teacher. I need signatures from parents all the time for lots of things. NatureCloud is free and unlimited amount of signatures. It's super easy to use as well. Once you get the hang of it, you upload a document and you put in their email name and email address, and you size where you want them to sign. They can sign it, they can initial it, you can have something custom where they have to date it, and it sends it right to their emails. And it's super easy for parents, for students to use. They click on it and sign it and submit it, and it comes back to you. If you're the creator of it, it'll notify you when somebody has viewed the document and when somebody has signed the document. Once everyone, if there's multiple people on the document, it'll send you the finalized copy when everyone signs it. It also has another awesome feature that I love. That is, there is a remind me button. So if you go on and let's say you have a document that has 5 signatures and one person hasn't signed, you can click the remind me button and it'll send them an additional reminder to get it signed. So it's super easy and awesome. I've actually showed like my husband for his work lately. He's been using it, and my mom has been using it for her work. So even just outside education, it's a super great and easy tool to use.
All right, this is something that I made because right now you might be trying to find a platform to use, and you might have heard everyone's using Zoom right now. There's a paid version, a free version, and then there's Google Hangouts. So this is just a spreadsheet about what each platform offers depending on if you're paying or if it's free. So with Google Hangouts, you cannot record. The only way that you can record is using Zoom. Even in the free version, you can record. The cost, free, and then Zoom is between $15 and $20 a month. I don't really know what the price range gets you, but it's around $15 or $20. There is no time limit with Google Hangouts. This is probably the biggest disadvantage for you if you're a teacher and you're using the free version. You get 40 minutes per meeting. When you have 10 minutes, you get like a little countdown. So you'll at least know that you need to start wrapping things up, but there is no limit with the paid version. So if you feel like you're really going to go over your minutes and you need to record, then Zoom paid might be the best option for you, and you can pay month by month. And so this, if you know, like you're going to be off in the summertime, you just cancel your payments and you don't have to pay for those months. So you don't need to pay for a full year. Annotate, this is a great option, but only the paid Zoom version has it. I know Mrs. Wesley uses this a lot in her class. Do you want to talk about when you use the annotate feature?
Yeah, and it just allows you to write on the board. It allows your students to write on the board. You can actually share just a plain whiteboard and write on it. There's a typing tool. The kids can use it. It takes a little bit of training, but my son's preschool teacher is having the preschool kids write on the board. So if they can do it, you can definitely do it with anybody older than 3. And it's really great. So, I'll kind of show you what it looks like. I'm not actually super sure if this will come
I was
through on
just
the
going to say,
video.
can we show them what it looks like?
Yeah, so there's me writing in cursive with my mouse, terribly writing my name. There it is. And it just disappeared on me. Oh yeah, there it goes. But so it's pretty great tool where you can actually physically write. You can use like a fatter marker. The kids can do this. There's little stamps that you can use. You can type with text. It's pretty good. So having the functionality to write on an actual document, you could just share a PDF and write on it with the kids and have them do it too. So again, if anybody's interested in more details on how to do that, just reach out on our Facebook page, let us know. We can always hop into a session and walk you through all those tools whenever you're interested.
And so there is a student limit with Google Hangouts. There's 25 kiddos at a time. Zoom, I said no, there isn't a limit, but I actually looked today and I think it's 100, but I don't think anyone's really gonna go over that. And if you do, let me know, because I've never heard of that awesome of a live lesson attendance in my life. So more power to you. You can get 100 kiddos to come. I don't know what I will do, but I'll be so excited for you. Directly invite guests. This can only happen in the Google Hangouts, where you can create a calendar invite and the link goes directly to the student's calendar as well as yours in Gmail. Zoom, you have to copy and paste the link into an email to let them know where the session is happening.
So one of the questions we got was how people or any specific ideas for supporting special populations, and specifically we had mentioned special education and ELL students. So we actually have special education and ELL in the house. So I'm going to have them give you guys just a little bit of information.
Yeah, so I'll pop back in for a second and then I'll have Victor take over. But you guys know your students. You've been with them. Have known them for, hopefully months and months. And so you guys know them. Anything that you guys can do in the classroom, you can do online. Yes, it may be totally different in a whole new world, but you can do it and you will be successful. You just have to, again, give yourself that grace and the ability you're going to be learning too as them. And make sure that you're supporting the parents. Not only the students affected, but the parents are too, because they're having to do a lot at home, whether it's working, helping support teach, there's so much going on that we just need to make sure that we're supporting the whole family. Some of the things that have really helped some of our special education students as well as our ELLs is having some of the screen readers or text to speech. There's a lot of different Chrome extensions or different programs that you can put on the computer. There's also websites where students can copy and paste or upload a document and have it read to them. That has been super, super beneficial for us. Supporting our students here at Uplift. Today I just walked through with a kiddo on how to get Adobe Reader to read aloud to him. And once he learned that, he was just like, oh my gosh, where has this been? And it was just a few clicks and he was in, and it was like world changing. Having those interactive whiteboards or annotate in Zoom. In Google Hangouts, you can actually use Jamboard. It's an extension as well. I've used it with some of my students, and it is really cool. You can do a lot of different things, pull up presentations, PDFs, things like that. So you can do that in Google Hangouts as well. It's just another extension. And a lot of times just screen sharing, having them share their screen so you can actually see what they're looking at and giving them the instructions or the advice on where to click, what to do, so you can actually see it with them, or sharing your screen and showing them exactly what you need to do, especially if you're having them work on like IXL or a website that may be newer to them and they're not sure how to log in or how to access, the materials that you're wanting to do. That screen sharing is a huge, huge tool that really helps them.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in very quick. And if you have ELL students and you want to keep them practicing, there are also different programs that you can actually put them on. Some of them are free, some of them aren't. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Duolingo, where you can actually set up your Duolingo websites like a little units where your students will earn points every time they finish a unit. And it goes from easy to hard. So they have to master a certain level before they go on to the next unit. So that's something that I use once in a while. When I used to teach at a brick and mortar school, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Kahoot. Well, I'm modified. They have some games that you can actually use. You can still play Kahoot. I know some of you guys, or most of you guys are familiar. Most of you guys use Kahoot for reviews or for vocabulary on the foreign language classes. I've used a Kahoot. I use it on a regular basis in my classes too, just like a little bit of a breaker. If I'm studying for a test, if I'm going over vocabulary, I just have my students to go into a Kahoot and then they can play on the computer. So you don't have to be in the classroom to play Kahoot. You can also do it when you're teaching online. And just like Kahoot, they have many, many interactive games that you can actually get your students engaged while they're learning the language or while they're learning Spanish. A couple, I don't know if you heard of Senor Wooly. Senor Wooly is these videos that this teacher made, and they come with lessons already built in. It is free. He has about 20 videos on different levels where students watch the videos. After that, they have to do different nuggets, and they'll get points. You set up your classroom, first period, second period. You get to pick the videos, the difficulty, and things like that. So there are definitely a lot of programs, a lot of games out there. You just have to do the research. And I just mentioned a few, I just mentioned the ones I'm familiar with, but there's a bunch out there. And sometimes actually it could get overwhelming because there are so many of them. And you just have to be familiar with the programs so you can explain it to your students, help them through. And then after that, they'll be on cruise control. You set up your classes, you set up the due dates, and your students will go in and will do those assignments, and you will just start recording their grades. And that's some of the materials that we use. Probably you're used to going to your classroom, see your student face to face, teaching your lessons, getting papers, answer questions right there on the spot. Well, you can do all of that online. You might be new online, and I just love Google G Suite because everything you do in the classroom, you can do online. You can actually go to the next slide, please. And then these are some of the tools that we all use on a regular basis, multiple times. I don't know what would I do without Google Drive or Google Docs, where my students actually submit papers, and I can just collaborate with them. Instead of me printing papers and sending them back today, they can just create a Google document. They can type their essays on there, and I'll go in and I'll just correct them, or I'll make some annotations where they can come back again and then see my corrections and fix their essays. So I really, really like Google Docs because it's very interactive. It is right there on the spot. We can actually work together. Like in mini lessons, we can go over my students' essays and say, look, this verb is not conjugated correctly, or you're using a preposition here, or things like that. So I really, really like the flexibility of Google Docs. Another thing that I use multiple times a day, and we all use and we all talk about, is Google Voice. It really gives you that flexibility because what I like is that I don't have to be glued to my computer to answer a question or to ask a question. I have the app on my cell phone, and if a student gets a hold of me during the day, I can answer that question, I can see, I can post a question, and that's how I keep track of my evidence. If I need to prove that I've been contacting my students on a regular basis, all that is saved on Google Voice. I can just quickly type their name and it will pop up all the conversations that we had with the date and the time that we had them. So it's a good way to actually keep track of the conversation with your students. I know some of the school districts now are requiring for teachers to actually make a two-way contact with their students at least once a week. So that will be a great way for actually you to contact them, because Google Voice, you can send a text, you can call right there, and it doesn't show your phone number. The only one thing with that is that not all the school districts have a Gmail accounts, so you have to have a Google account in order to access Google Voice. What I did, I created my own personal Google account, and I used that to contact my students. And eventually it gets really easy, because if I have a group of students that I contact on a regular basis, I just type their first name, and the whole conversation pops, and I just quickly send a message saying, hey, today we're covering module 1, or hey, this is a quick reminder, we're having a live lesson at 10 o'clock. I can attach the link. And so it is very useful to me, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be useful to you. And it's very easy, very simple to use. It doesn't take a lot of technical knowledge to actually manage these tools. That's what I like the best. They're very intuitive. Like you see them, and then you know how to navigate this. And of course, Google Sheets to keep up with your data. If you want to keep track of the students for 4 period, maybe phone numbers, maybe email address, so you can just grab them from there. Then Google Sheets, it's definitely for you. It's different tools that we use on a regular basis. They might need you to do, but that's the reality that we live right now, and they're gonna simplify your life. We talked about already Google Classroom, Streamline, how to manage classes, how to keep your staff organized, grades, contact information, things like that, communication with students and parents too, because if a student is not doing what it's supposed to, you definitely can contact your parents. And actually you can create groups. You can include the student and the parent into the conversation, so you can reach both at the same time. And of course, you can give a feedback. Another of my favorite technology gadget is Flipgrid. Flipgrid, I didn't know anything about it until I came into online education, and I just love it. It's free. It's a video system that you can either post a question by a video, or you can just put a document and upload it, and the students will give you an answer. And I like it personally because I teach foreign language. I teach Spanish, so I need to hear my students speak the language and practice the language, because that's the way they're gonna improve their Spanish skills. So what Flipgrid does, it records their voice. You can put a time limit, 1.5, and 2 minutes. I recommend for a video, and it's like a quick presentation in Spanish, and it tells you about basic stuff, maybe questions that you pose, maybe for more advanced classes, a day in their lives. And it goes right to you. It'll send you an email when somebody posts something, and you can create classrooms too. So you can, if you have 4 different periods, 4 different levels, you can separate Flipgrids by classrooms. You can put Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, and Spanish 4, and you have different assignments with different difficulties. So I really like it. It's free, it is easy to use, and the students like it too. And also, a lot of students don't like to keep that camera on, so Flipgrid will give you the flexibility to turn the camera off, turn the camera on, put an emoji on the face. So it gives you different variety for the student needs. And the next slide right here that I actually found, I like it because it puts side to side some of the screencasting for teachers. Free plans, right? I started using Zoom free. I used it for a year, the free version, and I really like it because it was free, right? But then after a while, I found some limitations, like the time. To me, that was the deal breaker, because I will be teaching my class and I will be really into it. And all of a sudden, I have that 10-minute countdown that my class was over. And next thing I know, it was over, and I didn't maybe say something I really want to say. And that happened to me a few times, where I finally decided to bite the bullet and actually spend the money on a Zoom pay version. I use it every day. I use it for my live lessons. I use it for one-on-one. So I really, really recommend the pay version if you're going to be teaching online for a while. Screencast-matic, if you want to just record videos showing how to maybe download documents, showing students how to do other things, Screencast-matic is the way to go. It is really clear. Your picture will show right there on the screen, and the mouse will also show if you want to. I also like Screencast-matic to actually record videos. And I don't know if you guys have any experience on Screencastify or Loom. I don't know anything about Loom. I don't know if you guys do.
There are a lot of other paid and unpaid versions. Like Jing is a free that I use all the time. Some of these will like upload to YouTube, some won't. So it really is, I think, just preference on what one you're comfortable with. I think all of us here use a different one. I have a fully paid, a completely different one that's not even on this list. So it really is just what we're more comfortable with. But know that there are a lot of free versions of screen recording. And even like if you have a Windows computer, you can use, there's an app that's already on your computer. I'm blanking now, of course. But it's like there's something on your computer already. If you have a Mac, you can do the video. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's available.
And before we finish with this, Zoom has been banned for a few school districts. They do not allow teachers to use Zoom anymore. And I know that because my son's school sent us an email about 3 weeks ago saying you're not going to be using Zoom. Now, I've used Zoom and I never had any issues with it. You just have to set up correctly. You have to make sure who is in your classroom. It's like when you're teaching a brick and mortar school. You know your students, you see them every day. If you see somebody who does not belong there, then you're gonna question it, right? Who are you? Are you new? Are you supposed to be here? Things like that. Well, Zoom is not different. If you have a list of students and you see somebody who doesn't belong there, then you need to make sure like if that person is supposed to be there. And that's what the problem is. Teachers, they just maybe they don't ask the right questions, and that's what things get out of control. So I just want to point that out.
And that's a super good example of it's fine if your kids make a ton of noise. That's all right.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over some tips and tricks. And what is most important is, yes, keep it simple. No matter what you're creating, you're going to push out to your students. It's going to be amazing. Don't beat yourself up every day because your lesson isn't perfect, or you have a spelling error, or the link is broken. That's life, okay? You heard a child screaming. If you're in my lessons, more than likely my dog's going to come and you're going to see slobber. Or now that my husband's home with me, he might come in and be like, "Hey, babe," and I have to give him hold on a second. So whatever you're doing, it's going to be amazing. Always just know you're doing your best and don't beat yourself up. But before we move on from this, I want to let you know, pictures like this have good vibes. You can, if you're ever worried about copyright infringement, one of my go-to sites is Pixabay. It's Pixabay.com. It's 100% free. They've got videos you can download. They've got pictures. They've got GIFs. They've got a ton of stuff. Check it out. That way you never have to worry like, oh my gosh, am I going to get in trouble by what I'm sharing? It's a great site to use. So just a few tips and tricks. When you're creating your lessons, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to think about your student who is struggling the most. Who's going to have the hardest time understanding directions? Who doesn't have that support at home to give them that extra guidance that they need? Okay? They might not be able to just pick up the phone and call you real quick or send you an email because they might not know how to ask, they might not know how to do it. So when you're making your directions, really think about that student who you know struggles, because you know your students by now. It's been a long time. So you hopefully know who is who in your class, okay? Keep the information relevant, okay? Keep it simple. Keep the language simple. I know sometimes we get so excited when we're writing things and then it's like this just long, really super detailed, and you're like, do I really need to tell them that? Come on, just make it simple. Just to the meat and potatoes, that's all they need. And make sure your sentences are simple and short. Like I said, we get all excited and we love what we're putting out, and then we read it and go, yeah, I just blew someone's mind. So drum it down and make it simple. So another thing is, if you're gonna send something out, maybe beforehand, find those tips and tools that can help those students that you think might struggle. So if it's a video on how to do it, maybe create it so you can show them how to do it. Or if you have a step-by-step guide on how to do it, have that ready and send it out with your directions. And here's the other thing, don't be afraid to share the load. I mean, we have a smaller school, but I still reach out to a couple of my teammates and be like, hey, can you read this over for me? I did that to Aaron Churchwood today. I was making a contract for a student, and I was like, it's just been a long week, I'm done. Can you read this over? Share the load with your teammates, because we're all in the same boat. And if you're in a school that has multiple instructors in a same subject area, share the load by like, hey, I'm going to create this lesson this week. How about you do that one? Make it so you're not just reinventing the wheel. You can share. It's okay to do that. And so another thing is, I love to use, these are things I personally use. I have my students use. These are apps they can put on their phones, because let's be honest, everybody's on their phones nowadays. I mean, they'd rather look at the screen than probably do anything else. So Forest, you see the little one on the bottom with the little sprout coming out. That one helps you disconnect. So on that app, you'll put on there that you want to be off your phone for, let's say, 10 minutes. And the timer will go for 10 minutes. If you pick it up, it'll say, do you really want to end? And then, so what's going on is like, you'll see a tree growing while you're not touching your phone. And when it's done, you grew a tree. After so many trees, that company actually plants a tree in the forest. So you're doing something bigger than just focusing your efforts. if you've ever done Pomodoro timing, marinara timer is what you'd be wanting to use. So Pomodoro, I always say it wrong, Doro timing, you do like chunks of timing. So like you would stay focused for 25 minutes and then you could do something else for 25 minutes. And then you go back to work for 25 minutes. So if you have that person who has a very hard time disconnecting, that's a great tool for them because it makes them have to take a break. Like, look, you did this, you gave it your best effort. Go run around, get those neurons going, get the blood flowing, come back to it so you can give it your best effort again. A lovely tool that I like to use and I share with my students often. Trello. Okay. Trello is a go-to for me, not just for school, but for my life. We use it, my husband uses it, the company we own uses it. Trello is interactive. So if I could put on there like what's coming up, all the stuff that needs to do to get it done. And then you would see it's in, I check things off and then everybody else that's on that app with you. So if I'm sharing with my family, they can see where I'm at in the stages and then it moves to the next stage. And it goes all the way until the end, until it's done. I love it. It's free. It's not only on your phone, but you can also do it on the web. You really need to check it out. Out of the 3 apps I just told you, Trello is my favorite time management and collaboration tool. So check them out. And I think I have one more thing. I'm trying not to eat too much of your time. I know it's been a long night. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. You can either comment on Facebook, on any of our live feeds. If there's a topic we didn't cover, drop us a note. Send us an email. When we send this out, we will send some emails with you, not emails, send our emails with you so you can get in contact with us because we want to help you. We're in this together. We're educators helping educators. And team, do you have anything else you want to add?
Thank you. And please let us know if you are stuck on something. If you want a walkthrough with yet another mail merge like I showed you, or any of the tools that we used, if you need a website or someone to troubleshoot with, we would love to help. It's how we're loving on our colleagues in a pretty scary time. So please just reach out if you ever need anything.